Hello everyone. Hello Natalie. Happy New Year everyone. Okay, Prince Dimitri is here. I will just give me 1 second. I will connect to Prince. We are waiting for Prince Dimitri to join us. Hello Prince Dimitri, good morning.
How are you?
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. You hear me?
Yes, I can hear very well. Happy New Year.
Good, good. Happy New Year to you. All the best.
Thank you. All the best to you as well, and great to see you again. And um, here we are in a new year with the new hopes.
Yes.
Yes, and I'll just do a little short introduction, and we'll just jump right in. Everybody's very
Okay.
excited to talk to you again. So am I.
Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone, and good evening, good morning to my friends from America. Good afternoon for my friends from Europe, and of course, very good evening to all of you, my dear friends and followers in Singapore and in Asia. And thank you for joining us tonight. And it's a first episode in 2021, and I'm wishing you all a very, very happy, healthy, positive, and just a year full of joy and contentment. Just a few words about IGTV, Conversations with Olga. Some of you are joining me for all these times, and tonight is my 7th episode, and some of them are joining for the first time. So Conversations with Olga is IGTV series that I've started during the circuit breaker. So you can imagine we had more time, like most of us anyway, and it's a live IGTV fostering intellectual and cultural exchange between influential individuals and my friends from all around the world. These amazing people are sharing their life stories, their experiences and hopes to inspire and to cultivate a more diverse and more inclusive community. Tonight I'm welcoming again, second time, Prince Dimitri by popular demands, and he's an incredible individual. And just a few words about you, Prince, and then we'll jump right in. You are a descendant of all the royal lineages in Europe, I would say, of Catherine the Great, of Louis XIV, of the Medicis, Empress of Austria, and Mary, Queen of Scots, and among others. And your family witnessed incredible transformations and ordeals and cultural changes throughout the centuries all over Europe. And it's all is now traced through the jewelry. And what I would like to mention, and this is what we're going to start with, is the book. You just published the book. Rizzoli published the book for you. It's called Once Upon a Diamond. If you have a copy of it, please feel free to show everyone your amazing book. Yes, Once Upon a Diamond. And it's not just a coffee, thank you. And it's not just a coffee table book. It's full of photographs and memorabilia, but it has an incredible narrative, that weave in the stories from your family, from your families, I should say, untold stories and intimate stories, and the complex schemes, and some of them as an incredible story that actually I was talking to you about in our first conversation is about your family that hidden and helped a lot of Jewish people during the World War II, and we touched on that last time in the conversation. And this is amazing how kind and what Samaritans, the high-profile royalty your family are. And it's really, really very admiring. The photo stories and of course the jewels in your book really transport us into a different, elegant era. So my question is to you. The first we will, of course, as you can see, we're starting with your book, and Is that sense of elegance and the level of sumptuousness gone forever, or you think they're present in our time?
I think it's gone forever. I
Is
think
it?
those were less complicated in the sense that one led a more sedentary life with less, you know, complications. Life is very, very complicated today because, you know, the technology. So I think that has
You're
led us.
breaking off, Prince.
Ah,
You're breaking off a little bit. Yes,
can,
maybe you can sit closer to. Okay, go ahead, please
yeah. So I
continue.
think era is gone, actually. I think in certain courts in Europe, there's still this sense of luxury life and sumptuousness, etc. But life is not like this today anymore.
Does it make you sad?
It is what it is, I always say. You know, you should never regret the past because you can't recreate it. I mean, the only important thing is the present moment. So you
That's
have,
very true.
yeah, it's no point in regretting it.
Very true. And going back to what you said, actually, it's one of your quotes to me, and one of some of the subjects that you've discussed in some of your interviews. That jewelry was always a symbol of power, prestige, and it conveyed the sense of elegance. Additionally, it showed the power of the patron of the royalty, and emphasize the patronage of the arts, and mentioning, for example, Catherine the Great, who created a diamond fund and had an extraordinary amount of jewelry. Were the Russian jewels the most opulent and sumptuous of them all?
Yes, I think they were because of the quantity and the quality together, and especially the diamonds. I mean, the diamonds, they already in the 18th century, they got the diamonds from the mines of Golconda in India, which were the most diamonds that ever existed in terms of quality. And they had this very strong sort of marketing sense that, you know, the more jewelry, the more powerful. So the Empress Catherine the Great, you
More
hear
jewelry,
that,
more power. Yeah.
yes, she had about 150, 200 little brooches sewn on her dress, so that when she would arrive, people who didn't know what she looked like, because that happened in those days, you know, nobody knew what she looked like. There was not social media like today. They would immediately
Yes.
see the crown and the glittering diamonds, and they would immediately understand that she was the empress, and there was the power. And you know, they had
Right.
such power that, for instance, her son, Emperor Paul the First, said to the French ambassador, who asked him when he was just nominated, he said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, who are the important people I should get to know in St. Petersburg?" And Emperor Paul's answer was, "The important people in St. Petersburg are the people to whom I talk and while I talk to them."
Amazing. That's incredible. That's incredible, and that brings me to a question: which piece in your in your book stands out most of all, and why?
Oh, there are many of them. I mean, one, of course, is the pearl tiara of the Grand Duchess Vladimir, because all the story, you know, how it was smuggled out of Russia during the revolution.
Is that the photo?
No, that's my Italian grandmother, the Queen
That's
of
your
Italy.
exactly.
Vladimir's tiara is the one that arrived. That's the Queen of Belgium, my great grandmother, her mother. She's the one who saved Albert Einstein. Remember that story? No,
No,
I told.
Albert Einstein. Yes, of course.
Yeah, because she knew something was going to happen to him, that Hitler wanted to kill him. So she invited
Right.
him, and then she had a boat prepared in Antwerp, and he sailed to England. And once in England, he was able to claim political refugee status and get American visa and come to America.
She must have took a huge risk to do that, especially in her position.
Not really. She was the Queen of Belgium then. I mean,
So she was able to just call the shots.
invited him for an official something. What happened
Yes.
afterwards, you know, she
Yes.
pretended
Exactly.
to know something. So nobody questioned her.
Exactly. And you know, in your book, one of the, I believe, the most exceptional, unique features of your book is the never published before, sort of like a scrapbook, watercolor scrapbook, sort of like an inventory. So can you tell us of some of the pieces belonging to Grand Duchess Elena Vladimirovna, who was your, I believe, great-grandmother?
Great-great-grandmother was Grand Duchess Vladimir.
Great-great-grandmother, that's right, before she was married, right?
She had the most fantastic collection of jewelry in the world at the time. And certainly one of the most that ever existed in history. And she was very famous for that. But she was able, the beautiful thing is she was able to have everything smuggled out during the revolution. But this friend at the British embassy, and when he met her in Venice after she arrived after crossing Russia by train and then getting a boat that was sent by my other great-grandmother, she met him in Venice and he asked her, you know, where's your jewelry? And she said, I don't know, it's probably still in St. Petersburg. So he went, followed her instructions, found the room, packed them in 2 bags, and then smuggled them to England. And in England, it was divided with her 4 children by colors. So my great-grandmother got everything white, meaning pearls and diamonds, and her 3 brothers got one the rubies, one the emeralds, one the sapphires. And they lived until, you know, recently on that's how much it was. It saved their lives, all of them.
That's incredible. So it was a fair division, wasn't it?
It was what?
It was a fair division.
Yes, because every color was worth more or less the same amount.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand. You know, you have all these incredible stories of the pre-revolution that probably correlate and correspond to the life and pre-revolutionary Russian nobility, imperial family. And you have so many stories to tell, and you know so many intimate stories that probably never been told, even though you touched on some of them in your book. Do you plan to write another book, perhaps?
No, not for the moment. I'll see. Maybe, who knows? I mean,
okay, then maybe I'll suggest a movie then.
But you know, the scrapbook you were mentioning earlier is in the book. I selected about 16 pages of photos from 4 albums I have of Grand Duchess Helen of Russia. Most photos taken by her showing everyday life in St. Petersburg and her life in general. And there's a very few images that I've put in the book of the 2nd Olympic Games in history in Athens, where you see all the Europes of the time there, and you see the athletes, and you see the king, my great-great-grandfather, a trophy to the athletes. It's very, very interesting. It's never been published before.
Unbelievable how you even met, how these photographs were preserved and how you managed to put them all together. It's extraordinary. I think it's really the highlight of...
yeah, the albums exist. The albums already existed. I didn't have to put anything together. My grandmother had, I think, 16 of those books. I got 4, and then many other descendants have different books themselves. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. And that is exceptional. That brings me to the subject that we probably all want to know a little bit more about: royalty. We know that most of the British crown jewels are kept in the Tower of London, if I'm correct. But for all the other pieces that the Queen wears, the earrings, the certain rings, and some other pieces, where are they kept and who looks after them? And is it and to go after the question to continue, is it the same in all the countries for the royal jewels, or is it differ from country to country?
Well, I'm not sure how it works, but I know that they are kept in Buckingham Palace or in Windsor or wherever she is. whatever she needs, very well organized by people who are in charge of security, of a vault room and all that. And it's more or less the same everywhere, yes.
More or less the same everywhere.
The whole organization.
Okay, got it. And Prince, I'm really sorry, you're breaking off a little bit.
Sorry, I was saying, can you hear me now?
You're breaking off a little bit.
How is it now? Is it better? I can't control, fortunately, it's...
Yes, it's okay, we'll continue and we all can hear you, just sometimes a little bit that I just lose you a little bit, but it's okay. I will continue with some of the questions and discussions, and I'll alert you if something needs to be repeated, if it's okay. I would like to ask you, what is just going through some of the notes and some of the details of the book, what is the Cartier's role in designing and developing the royal jewels, and who are the major houses that designed some of the pieces?
Well, the main house, of course, we know was Cartier. The two other main houses in those days were Boucheron and Chaumet in Paris. And of course, was the house of Boleyn, who was the Swedish jeweler, who was the crown jeweler, who had worked there since the 19th century and who made the most extraordinary things imaginable. I mean, for me, I have a really soft spot for the work of Boleyn because it was so whimsical and sort of elegant and opulent at the same time, never looked too serious. Most of the big jewels of the Romanovs were made by Boleyn.
That's fairly unknown, I believe.
No, it's fair. No. People know that. Yeah. Like the diamond and pearl tiara of my great grandmother that now is worn by the Queen of England because my great grandmother sold it to Queen Mary, was one of the typical examples of Boleyn. And when Cartier saw the tiara in St. Petersburg, when he came at the invitation of the Grand Duchess, he was so fascinated by the tiara that he asked if he could borrow it, and she said yes, because you're a patron of the arts.
Why not?
So she didn't mind copy it because he didn't. He took inspiration from it, and he did a whole line of objects based on the designs of the intertwining circles. And you will see it in my book because on the following page, got the Cartier version of it. And then I explain, the whole line at the turn of the century after that, how after 1904, which is known as, Edwardian jewelry, was very much based on that tiara.
Amazing, incredible, and it's extraordinary. And I'll talk a little bit later, and I'll ask you a question where we can where we can buy the book and how we can buy it. But I'll definitely give this information to all our listeners. Can you tell me whether the royals ever have some downtime, and can they ever relax? And if so, how do they do that? What is your knowledge of it?
Today
they're always in the public eye.
They're always in the public eye. They can relax when they go to the countryside. And what they do, there's a lot of sort of hunting sometimes in Scotland or in other countries, like in Luxembourg and Belgium, they do hunting parties. They do lots of walk. They have very simple lives in private, which is what they like. Lots of outdoor activities.
And talking about activities, is there any competition among the royal families when it comes to the royal engagements?
No, because it's their duty. So everybody in their own country does what they have to do. And, their duty number one is to be a role model. And as role models, they have to represent the country and be the image of the country, but also use their influence to help as many people as they can and as many institutions, charities, ideas, and patrons of the arts. That's their role. They all do it very, very well, I have to say.
So that comes really right from the centuries ago when jewels were a part of the establishment for to be the patron of the art, right? And I think they've also served as an insurance, as you mentioned before.
It was a life insurance for jewelry, absolutely. If something happened, you could always go with your jewelry. But that role has gone on since times immemorial. You know, already in the Middle Ages, royal families in Europe were the patrons of the arts. The best of that were the Medicis during the Renaissance times, which brought it to an even more important level with the explosion of art and art at the time.
Right.
But they still do that today.
Yes, which is, I think, extremely important because they create the following, hopefully, and it's true.
Yes, but they do.
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
They do fantastic work in that domain.
Yes.
The thing is, one doesn't really know about it because they never talk about it. They just act. And, you know, they're raised in the idea that you never brag about what you do. So you do your job and that's it, you know.
Well, this is what, on my opinion, is a culture and mannerism and etiquette of proper behavior. And I think this is extremely important when people just do the good things and that they're cultured enough not to brag about it, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you have such an extended family. How do you manage to keep in touch with them?
Well, thanks to technology, thanks to Instagram, thanks to email, even phone calls. I mean, it's been very useful. I mean, I've always been before, but now with technology, it's fantastic. And we can send each other jokes and things. It's great fun. Yeah.
That's great. So you have like the big family gatherings for special holidays, special occasions. How do you keep a track of everybody's birthday? Unless it's, of course, you know, it's a public knowledge.
Public knowledge, but I forget some of them.
Yes, okay. And if there is any famous relative that is absolutely your favorite, I understand if you'll have to be politically correct with answering me this question, but nevertheless.
I was raised with the idea that it's not proper to do name dropping.
Okay, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And just, you know, a question about Marie Antoinette. What is her allure? There are earrings in your book, I believe, that belong to her. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
But the allure of Marie Antoinette is that her story was so tragic. And, you know, like there was a French writer one day who said that people want queens that are beautiful, young, and tragic. And it's true. I mean, people get fascinated by that. Look at Mary, Queen of Scots. Look at Anne Boleyn. Look at the Empress of Russia. And Marie Antoinette is the #1. I mean, it's tough that she was born the day before the earthquake of Lisbon. On November 2nd, which is the Day of the Dead, that destroyed the city. So that was already as a bad omen. When time, because it was known, it took 3 months for the news to reach the rest of Europe. But then her whole life was like that. And then there was a series of sort of catastrophic events that were precipitated, also by her behavior. It was almost as the stars were aligned to get to the revolution. She had been the most popular queen of France ever before the whole cabal of propaganda by a certain faction at the court went against her. And then the arrest of Lorraine, and then when she came back, you know that when they were arrested, the people marched the carriage back to Paris. They were stuck for 36 hours in that carriage. 36 hours without being able to the carriage, no eat, no sleep, no anything, with people threatening to kill them. And when she arrived in the palace, finally, after that horrendous event, her hair turned white.
That's incredible. That's a crusade.
Yeah, and it's things that happen in life. If you have an emotional shock that's so horrific, your hair can turn white overnight.
The pigment changes because
the same thing happened to the last Empress of Russia, when the young son, the Tsarevich, had the first attack of hemophilia, and he was bleeding internally, and he was 5 minutes away from dying, and she spent the whole week, you know, sitting next to his bed without ever leaving because she thought he was dying. And when he was finally saved, because they got a telegram from Rasputin announcing that he had prayed and God heard his prayer and the Tsarevich would live, and she finally was able to, you know, relax and go to get some sleep, her hair also had turned white.
Yes, because she was holding energy so tight, and when she probably released it, this is how it all came out.
So it's not an easy life to be a royal in many times.
Especially at that time, of course.
But even now, you know, yeah, it's emotionally, it can be very draining.
Absolutely. And, you know, we will move a little bit to talk a little bit about your work on jewelry. You know, how do you think designs transcend time? You know, some pieces from your book are 150 or over 150 years old, and do you think they're still wearable today, or they simply, because they're just simply fabulous and timeless, obviously? What do you think?
I think,
except the royalty, who is obviously have to wear them.
Yeah, you know, when something is beautiful, it's eternal. Beauty is one of the fundamental values of life, as we know from the Greek culture,
Yes.
which is the antique, which is the basis of all Western culture is based on Greek culture, and their sort of adoration for beauty and perfection. So it's the same thing goes for jewelry. If a jewel is fantastic, or a painting, or a piece of furniture, beauty is eternal, quality is eternal, and it will never go out of fashion. I mean, it will always be searched.
Absolutely. And the more sort of the older I become, sorry.
When I used to work at Sotheby's, people who used to ask me, you know, what could they buy, etc., etc. And I always told them, buy the best you can find. If you have the money and you want, because sometimes they were hesitating, I said, no, buy the most expensive one because it's the most beautiful, it's the most perfect, and you will build, and that will become an investment.
Can't agree more.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the more I live, the more I treasure my pieces from my family. Even, you know, what I'm wearing is very, very old, and it's from Russia. And yes, I treasure it more and more every day. Absolutely. And how do you care of the jewels? That actually, this is also very personal and an important question for me to ask. That in order for the pieces, old pieces, to maintain their best condition, diamonds, pearls, and other precious gems.
Well, the pearls, you have to wear them against your skin, because then they come back.
Yes.
They die otherwise. I see you're wearing some very nice ones.
Thank you.
And then you have to be careful with them. You can't drop them on the floor. You have to clean them. You know, you have to look after them. You have to love them. You know, it's objects have a soul. Loved objects have a soul. There was a poet who said that. Yeah, and it's true.
And Prince Dimitri, how do you approach the design process? What when you create, how do you approach the pieces of the jewelry that you create for the design inspirations and dream? How do you dream them?
Approaches. One approach is when people bring stones to me. So when they bring stones, then, you know, I draw around the stone. If I want to create special things myself, then I do a lot of research in decorative arts. Like I say in my introduction to the book, it's called cultural appropriation, which I think is a great thing. So I get inspired by parts of the Middle East, Islamic geometry, medieval crosses, Greek geometric design. Also, there's all sorts of things that are fascinating that you could use. My two favorite being the medieval crosses and the Indian paisleys. I've done a whole collection based on paisley and all that, but in my own style, you know. That's what I call cultural appropriation, which is really the base of artistic creativity. As you know, the luminaries of the Renaissance have taught us, because they were always looking elsewhere for things and ideas, and which is the basis of the French culture, the art. They were always bringing things from foreign cultures. There was the fashion of the Chinese objects, of the Japanese ones. There was the Italian Renaissance. They brought all that to France, and they transformed it into a product that was typically French. So, and Cartier did that also. He explored the decorative arts of all the countries, and he did the Egyptian, for instance, collection, which was based on Egypt. And so that is also my philosophy of looking elsewhere, and never at jewelry, but more decorative arts and shapes and things, and turning it into a product that looks like me. You can see, and all of my designs, if once you get used to them, you can immediately tell that it was me designing it rather than somebody else. I have my own style and my own.
Of course.
I don't know
your
how to explain that.
Feel for it, your signature interpretation, and that brings me to another question: how does the travel impact you, or impacted you in your design work?
The same. I'm always watching around. Whatever I can see, you know, I can. I interpret. I make notes. Sometimes I take photos. I mean, the most unusual things. I remember when I was traveling one day, and there was I can't even remember what country it was, but I noticed on the floor a waste paper basket, and it was a square wood waste paper basket, thick, and there was. Steel discs and steel nails that were planted in it everywhere, all around it. Nails, you know, somebody went like that with a hammer, and I took a photo of it because that was the solution to one of my things. I was searching to a finishing detail for something, which is this wood necklace, which was inspired by African tribal art. But I used this, which was on this waste paper basket, and what I did, I created the diamond nails holding 22-carat rose gold discs that were loose and moved against the wood. And you will see it in my book, and you will understand it. So, which brings the famous sentence, you know, for those who can listen, even stones speak. And I have that.
I love this phrase.
Yes, my antennas are always out. Another time, a friend of mine had a pair of earrings, which were each earring were 2 long lines of diamonds. Boring, badly mounted, rigid. She never wore them. Somebody had given it to them. She didn't know what to do. So I was spending the weekend with her. And as I leave for the weekend with the earrings, because I'm going to think what I'm going to do with them, I see a big bowl with white stones, white pebbles that she picked on the beach.
Yeah.
And then I immediately, and that was it. I knew instantly. I picked 4 of them, and I said to her, I presented it her like that in my hand, and I said, "Here's your necklace." So she thought I was going crazy. I said, "Don't worry, I'll send you a proper drawing of it." And what I did, I sent the drawing of a necklace, and each of those 4 stones is hanging from a chain, and is wrapped with the diamonds. But there's 4 different ways of wrapping, like you do a Christmas parcel with a ribbon, for instance. And we use the diamonds in front, and on the reverse, because I like using reverse also, we did the same wrapping, but in gold, little gold ropes. And you can see that again, you can see that in my book.
It's extremely unique. So sorry, you...
Am I cutting?
You're cutting,
can
yes.
You hear me?
You're cutting a little bit. Can you go ahead?
That's how,
can you please?
Yeah, I was just finishing. That's how my mind works. My thought process works like this.
Yes.
Yes.
But I imagine you must know and you must feel the person whom you're designing jewelry for as well, and you need to feel the energy, and you need to feel the sort of the personality of the person whom you're designing, because not everybody probably would accept this kind of very forward thinking in designing the piece.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So not only do I have long conversations with them, I become their psychiatrist, basically. Lots of my clients, I'm also their
Yeah,
psychiatrist. You know, they tell me all their stories and how they feel and
I
all.
can see that.
Yeah, yeah. They open up
Well,
and
I can relate to that because we are similar in this respect. This is how basically I approach my projects and my creations as well. You know, I need to feel and I need to communicate and I need to engage with people, and people
yeah,
have to trust me. Just like I'm sure all your followers, all your clients, and all your friends trust you very much because
yeah.
you put your soul and heart into it for sure. And you know, that of course brings me to your time in Sotheby's, where you were senior vice president. And what was your time like there? And what were the most remarkable pieces that you auctioned during your time in Sotheby's?
Oh, it was fascinating. We saw amazing things. The number one stone that I will never forget was the Rockefeller Sapphire, which was about 62 or 63 carats rectangular. It was the most beautiful blue color I saw in my life. I mean, it went and it came back. It was sold years later at Christie's, and it's a very famous stone. In terms of collection, I would say there was the number one collection of all time. I mean, at the time then, it was the collection of the Duchess of Windsor because of the history of it. But then the
Yes.
other collection was the collection of Luzmila Patiño. She was the daughter of Antenor Patiño, who was the
Okay.
he was from Bolivia, and he discovered the tin mines in Bolivia in the late 19th century. And he became the richest man of the moment. And his son Paris and his father married into aristocracy, and we knew all of them, and I still know all their descendants who are a part of the jet set and who are lovely people. And he was the greatest collector of art of his days. But he collected everything, and he learned. He was an insatiable reader, and he learned everything about art and lived magnificently, and his children all lived magnificently, and they were very generous people, and they created museums and things. And one of the granddaughters sold her collection, and the collection was worth $150 million in like the late 80s, early 90s. It was an extraordinary collection. It was really, really unbelievable. And I myself was on the plane, and I had to carry $60 million worth of jewelry, because in the
Oh
old
my
days,
God.
yeah, we did that in the old days. I had my sort of briefcase, and I carried everything with me. We were going to Hong Kong and Japan
I
and
hope they were insured.
they were perfectly insured. And so we had the exhibition in Hong Kong. And then in Hong Kong, we get a phone call from Nippon Airways, because they were going to put everything, all the paintings and all that were going by cargo. The flight had been canceled. So we get this phone call. It's a tragedy. It's a catastrophe. The lady who runs the Tokyo office tells me that the daughter of the emperor is coming tomorrow or after tomorrow night to see it. She has one solution left, is to do harakiri, because it's an insult to the emperor. I mean, I can't tell you the tragedy. So nobody knew what to do and everything. And
That's incredible.
I said, it's very simple. We're going to take all the paintings and their crates to the airport. And I said to the team, everybody, I don't want anybody of you dressed in jeans and sloppy like one does when one travels, me included. I said, I want everybody in dresses, in ties and suits, glasses, everything. So we arrived, the whole team at the airport with me. Thank God, in those days I still had a diplomatic passport, and 12 crates of paintings. And so the woman said, but how? I mean, you're going to have to pay for this. Well, why are you? What's going on here? I said, well, I always travel with my own paintings because I don't like the way hotels are decorated. So I have my room decorated at the hotel, and I want to have them.
That's incredible. That's like from James Bond movie.
So they charged my credit card, which was a company credit card, for $50,000 of excess luggage. But then we arrived in Tokyo with all of it. And I called her, the lady, I said, don't worry, you don't have to kill yourself. I brought I checked them as my personal luggage. They also
This is an incredible story.
Yeah, and the head of security said, no, we have to ask permission for headquarters in New York. I said, New York is sleeping. There's 12 hours time difference, as you know, since you're in Singapore. I said, we don't have time for that, And so just what I did. And I saved the situation.
This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, definitely, seriously, it's a James Bond story.
It was a James Bond story. So we arrived at the hotel. It was early in the morning already because we took the first flight, 10 o'clock. And I said, we have to celebrate that with martinis for breakfast, which we did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And no wonder I know from you that you actually wanted to work on Wall Street at one point, and or probably this excitement even in your mind and your heart probably made you change your mind, isn't it?
Well, I didn't really want to work as well. After my
Prince Dimitri, you froze again. Sorry, I'm so sorry, you just froze again. Can you start your sentence again?
I really want to work on Wall Street. What I did was that after school, I did law school. And I got my law degree at the university. And then I decided that I would want to do a training program in Wall Street, which is what many people did in those days, as a form of education. And that lasted, I think, 9 months or something. You worked in a bank and you saw everything and you learned and became, I took a series of exams in Wall Street to become a stockbroker and all that. But after that, I always knew what I wanted to do. But I did it for my own education. But then I went to Sotheby's.
Yes, well, I never looked back, I suppose. And just through all this journey and through all your incredibly creative soul and mind and knowledge, what would you like to achieve through your jewelry? What is your goal or task, I should say? What would you like to convey?
Jewelry to bring beauty. The ladies wear them. I want them to bring happiness to the people who own them and good energy, because I always try to infuse my jewelry with good energy and all that, and I want them to bring happiness to whoever is going to own them.
That's incredibly important. So I guess just on a private, on a bit of a personal question. So you believe in energy and you trust the energy and what you project. Can you tell us a little bit just what is your philosophy on it?
Well, it's not a question of believing in energy. It does exist, as Einstein and physics have already proved it a long time ago. And if you're in touch with yourself, if you're in touch with the present moment, and and you learn how to slow down in life, then you get in touch with the energy of the universe. I'm extremely sensitive myself by birth, so I've always felt it. I feel the energies in a room. I feel the energies in a place. I feel the energies of people immediately. I know instinctively. I know if I like a person or if I don't.
Yes.
Which is a very practical.
That's why we are friends.
Yeah, exactly. We had empatia, as we say in Italian,
Yes, instantaneous. Exactly, absolutely. And talking about the sort of your, what is your downtime like? You said that it's important to relax. So what is your downtime like? What do you do in your downtime?
Well, first of all, I do meditation twice a day, morning and night. Downtime, I love the outdoors. I'm very sportive, so I like riding, skiing, water skiing, swimming, running. I love the outdoors, and of course books. I mean, I live for books. I'm always buying books that I read, and I read 2 or 3 books at the same time normally. Which few people understand.
What do you read these days?
But how? I'm reading different books right now. One is called The Swerve, which is an amazing book of how this, which is a true story of this man during Renaissance, during the Middle Ages, who discovered some manuscripts of Roman and Greek philosophers that had been saved from, you know, all the destructions at the end of the Roman Empire. It explains how the world of today became, how the world became the world of today, because
Oh my God, okay.
yeah, because they discovered all these teachings, and then it was rediscovered, spread around during the Middle Ages, and then it created, of course, a clash in thinking, because there was those.
Yes.
And then the Age of Enlightenment, of the discovery of these documents in the Middle Ages. So it's a riveting book. I'm also reading one of the books of Eckhart Tolle, who's my favorite thinker, contemporary thinker. He writes about mindfulness. His most famous book is The Power of Now, which I've read 3 times. And
yes,
now I'm
yes, of course. I read Power of Now.
Yes. I remember we talked, and now for the second time, I'm reading A New Earth, which is the follow-up to The Power of Now, which I find even better.
Okay, oh, that's interesting. I should look it up.
If you like The Power of Now, you will adore it.
Yes, I did.
Get The New Earth immediately. Immediately.
Okay. I will. You know, Prince Dimitri, I always ask you what you read, because then I always take note, and I always get the books that you recommend me. So yes, absolutely.
Those 2 books are in English. Then I'm reading also a biography of Nicholas I of Russia in French by Henri Troyat, who's one of my favorite historians. So right now that's it. And I just bought a book on numerology that I've started.
Oh, you bought a book of numerology? Okay, you'll share it with me later.
You like numerology?
Yes.
I'll send you the.
Yes. Send me the
the
title. Yes. Fantastic. So, and what is your, if I don't know, but it's really relevant, because I'm sure that you're following your motto all the time. Is there any particular motto that you have for the 2021?
A motto for 2021. Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Oh my God.
That's what I think Mae West said to someone.
Yes. Yes, but you know, I'm so happy to see you, how positive you are, and how happy you are, and how much sparkle you have in your eyes, and that really warms my heart, really. And I'm just delightful. Somebody's asking on a question, I can see that, who is the author of the numerology book? It's one of my followers. Can you please repeat that?
I don't know, because he sends me
okay,
a message.
I will share with you guys. I see the question. I will share with you later.
Yeah. She can send me a message on my Instagram. I saw the name pop up, and I know her because.
Okay.
So if she sends me a message on Instagram, I'll.
That's great. Yeah, we'll get the information for sure.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm counting the days when I'll be able to come and see you, and when I'll be able to come to New York, because of course I miss it very much, and I miss my family a lot. But thanks to positive people like you and inspiring people like you, you know, we keep dreaming, and we keep hoping, and we keep progressing. And I'm just looking forward to talk to you again and again and again. And I'm thanking you on behalf of all our listeners for such a wonderful chat and a wonderful conversation. I'm really sorry for whatever reason the connection today was not great, and I hope nevertheless that none of our listeners missed something terribly important. But I believe everybody had a wonderful time, and I'm very sure about it.
One last thing, because you reminded me, for 2021, always,
yes.
whatever happens to you, put your life in the hands of God, and don't worry too much, because you know, worrying is an energy that's produced by your ego, that makes you believe that you are in control. So you waste your time thinking that you are controlling something when you're really not. So, you know, jump out of the anxiety. And I catch myself doing it because I worry by nature. So I wake up from it.
Yes.
I'm innocent. I say, God, take my life and do whatever you can. And it's a very good remedy to take, to habit. It's a very good habit to take. It will really make you feel much better. And sometimes, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I
Absolutely.
had,
That's such a profound advice, and I'm really thanking you from the bottom of my heart, because it's so important to remember this notion and to just don't
years,
deviate from it. Be on a path. And you know, last question for, I guess I'm sure everybody wants to know, where is the book available, and how can they buy it?
you can find it on my website if you are in
Okay.
America. You can also buy. We ship all over the world, but it's very expensive, the shipping to the rest to things.
Yes.
So it's easier to buy it on Amazon because you know.
Okay, so it's easier to buy.
Yeah,
Just like my book, I usually suggest people to buy
yeah.
it on Amazon. It's easier. Yes.
America, you can also buy it on my website, which I.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wonderful. But you know, I promise you, when I come to New York, I'll pack the whole suitcase of your books and I bring it back.
thank you. And you can buy it at Rizzoli also. If you do,
Yes.
Rizzoli has a way of selling them. You have to get in touch with them and they will tell you, because they have bookstores all over. I know that in Paris, there's a bookstore called Galliani. In
Oh,
Geneva, there's a bookstore called Payot where you can find it. Apart from that, I don't know.
yes.
In
It's okay.
Rizzoli,
We'll sort it out, and you know, if Amazon has it, it's perfect.
yeah.
Well, Prince, I'm so delighted to see you, and to see you, as I said, well, looking great and positive. And thank you so much for waking up early. I know how busy you've been, and we spoke about it, and I know that it was just full on for you, but nevertheless, you allocated for us almost the whole hour. Thank you
With
so
pleasure.
much from the bottom of my heart. And
Super.
I'll see you very soon. This is the way I want to think, and I'll talk to you shortly as well.
Thank you very
And I
much.
will
Happy.
send to everyone who was not able to listen to us live. I will save the conversation and I will post it on my stories, and I will post it on my post as well.
Great.
And thank you so much again. And I'm sending you my very big hug and
Lots
kiss,
of
and
love. Lots of
thank
love.
you. Lots of love, yes, lots of love, and I send you all the very, very good energy and positive vibes, and thank you
Me,
everyone for joining in.
me too. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Have a
Bye.
great day. Bye.
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 Bye bye.